overall people like and support the Blues. That's the overall encompassing factor, is that they like the Launceston Football Club and the Blues jumper and support that. And they stick around. It's good.
Well, Rick, it was probably 1981, I think, when Matthew, my eldest son, came down to play with the club in the juniors, under 12s, and I've been here ever since, and the family's been here ever since.
Our son was 12, wanted to come down and play in the juniors, so brought him down, I think it was in February or something like that, and wandered out with him. And I bumped into Ronnie and I said, boy wants to play footy. I said, can I help cut oranges or take drinks out at half time or something like that? And he said, come with me. So nearly 30 years later, I got out the back door and went home again.
In the under 12s, I was the trainer. They gave me a pair of white overalls and a packet full of jelly beans, and they said, if someone gets hurt, give them a jelly bean and they'll come right. And that's how I started.
What the club did for me is, I'm not an overly confident person, never have been. To come down here and start from scratch and have 80 odd guys out on the track that come into you to say, can you help me with this? Can you do that for me? It means you've got to perform, and they've got faith in you, they believe in you. And so it just changes your attitude around to everything like that. You take on the ownership of what we do in there, the responsibility. You learn a new skill, you learn a new trade.
You were recognised back in 2016, winning the AFL Tasmania Volunteer of the Year award. How honoured were you to receive that, when you consider every football club in Tasmania has a band of volunteers, but you won the award as the Volunteer of the Year. What did that mean?
It was nice because it was recognition that women's football was being taken seriously. That was my biggest takeaway from it. That it was nice to win the award and nice to be recognised. I personally hate stuff like that, but it was nice to be recognised. But it was a recognition that, hey, women's football is right now a serious part of the landscape. So yeah, that was really, really pleasant, really nice.
Probably it's volunteers.
Loyalty to the club, yeah.
I'd say probably Craig Sean behind the bar, the Sean brothers as such, and then there's a lot that do a lot around the club that probably doesn't go unnoticed, but they put a lot of time in to keep it alive.
Volunteers, to me, like people just, you ask them to help and I'm too busy. But the ones that do help, got blokes like John Termine. He's a builder, he's working God knows how many hours a day, always finds time to do things around the club. He's here first thing for Saturday morning, on match days, organising things, put the witches' hats out, all that sort of thing. They're the sort of people, there's a saying goes, if you want something done, ask a busy man and you'll get it done. But a lot of people just, they don't seem to want to become involved. And look, it's wonderful to be involved.
The history of the volunteers and that's family after family, and even, you know, young girls running the club now in like Sarah and Christy, a big part of helping to run the club and being part of the board.
So the Cockets
and the Giblins, yeah.
You know, two names of just volunteers.
Yeah. So their family history, I mean, they don't have partners here, they're not playing footy here, but they've just grown up in volunteering and being part of that, and they genuinely care, as do their families, and that history just goes through and through and through, and you've got uncles and cousins and things that have all played with everybody.
Tim Cockers and these sort of people, you know, Malcolm Atkins, Mark Thurlow, these sort of guys were around, Kerry Finch in later times.
$150 years, it's the oldest football club in Tasmania, and the club has evolved and been at the forefront for such a long period of time.
For the whole time, and you know, it's been thankful to a handful of volunteers, and that's what keeps these clubs together, and it's amazing how many volunteers have stuck around and been here for the duration. And it is tough. It's hard to get, especially nowadays. It's very, very difficult to get people to volunteer on committees and that sort of stuff. So,
which has probably flowed on through the family as well. So I've come through the footy club, and Phil and Mark and Grant, they've been significant figures around the footy club that have just volunteered countless hours of time and money and resources into the not only this facility but how it's run, and they've been one of the driving names and families for this footy club for since Peter created the club around, or especially the junior association back in the 70s.
Volunteers. There's not many clubs that were in the state league still that had volunteers. Everyone else had to pay for their meals and whatnot, but we're lucky enough it was always Phil and the ladies. Every single week was Phil and the ladies, thank you, and it still is today. It's just that. It's that Launceston and Phil and the ladies.
What stood out to me was people care about this place, and they've all got their own views and opinions, and sometimes Sandra and I agreed with them and sometimes we didn't, but that was healthy, and it genuinely teases out the best outcomes. So certainly from what I had experienced at other clubs, the volunteers around the place for the most part was the biggest difference, and that's a club that's had history and people that care about it and have had family members connected to the club for years. So it was a really eye-opening first 12 months, but then it just became the norm.
It's a huge slice of my life. It's a huge part of my life. I've got friends that I've made here, and that'll always be with me. Like I've had footballers. I've been a trainer for the footballers, then their kids and that, and like through generations, and it's been tremendous. There's been some really, really good people here. There's been a few cranks on the way, but probably to do the companionship, the mateship. Whoever you meet the first time, you become mates for a long while. And I've never played in a premiership with Launceston, never played football with Launceston, but you're tied up with the club, and it's like I say, you're part of premierships, and that's the ultimate goal.
Timmy Cocker's been around the club ever since, I don't know how long he's been here now, but it's been a lot of years, and he's just someone that just makes you feel so welcoming. The kitchen staff and Phil obviously in there cooking our Thursday night dinners every night, and then when there's home games on Saturdays, they're cooking up a good feast for the away team as well. So I think it's just the people that make you really welcome.
Once I got to know some of the volunteers and had spent some time at the club, that turned pretty quick, and those people actually became the backbone of what we did, particularly throughout COVID, where we needed to clean change rooms and separate training and all the things that one person can't do. So we were very, very fortunate, and it's probably a testament to why the club is as healthy and as strong as it is today, is the volunteers and people that have been around the place over the years.
Just supporters around the club, which just makes it thrive. Like you don't have a football team if you don't have supporters and people that want to volunteer and things like that. It just makes a football club, and we really appreciate that a lot. Like it's really good.
By volunteering, it's the greatest thing in the world. I'd say you're un-Australian if you don't volunteer. That's how I've always looked at it, And I know my parents at Campbelltown, they were volunteers for years at Campbelltown, where we were born and bred.
Just people, just support from those that were here. Understand that you get through tough times, you just got to stick together and work your way through it.
The club's been brilliant, like the quality of coaches, the quality of players, the respect, the quality of the support staff behind the bar, the kitchen. It's a fantastic club. It's a brilliant club.
Well, during about the 80s when I became president, there seemed that things weren't going so great for a while, but got going again. The people that came here in the 80s are still here working. That's what's kept it going. People like Phil Giblin's been here for well over 50 years, and still working, And the Giblin and Cocker, great. They stick around the club,
It's the greatest team game in the world, football. Australian rules, the greatest team game in the world, so to be part of it, it's great.
I remember when I first came here as coach that one of the people that we got to meet very well at New Norfolk was a pretty well-known legend in Darryl Baldock. He mentioned to me one night that one of the things you should try and do when you go to a club as a coach is recognise the people that have been before you and not necessarily pay homage to them, but that guy that's sitting at the end of the bar who is probably 70 or 80 years old, know who he is and why he's there and what he's contributed to the club. Don't just ignore those people. They've been before you and have created the club. And that was a really good learning curve and it was important.
Oh, no idea.
Well, it's
No
been called
idea.
the barflies.
Since day dot.
Yeah,
No idea.
and there's been, one's come and go, few have died and that. We've had some real legends, Noddy Webb and Vince Jinks, guys are like that we lost along the way. Real characters, and that's what it is, the characters.
How did he become a member of that exclusive club?
Just turn up of a Thursday night and eventually you more or less, you're in.
Thursday night doing players' dinners and we'd have a few laughs on the night. The barflies sitting over here every night after training or before training, you pop in and say hello. They tell us a bit about their story. I remember sitting down before warm-ups, just sitting down on the fence there and looking, Lindsay Campbell, who's passed away now. I'd love a chat with him, and even Darren Geard's old man Ronnie passed away last year. And these are the faces that make the club. They're not the ones representing the club as such when you put a jumper on, but that's who you represent. So the sense of community is just really special.
Oh, it's the banter. The banter, we bounce off of one another, the barflies. Poor old Whistle's burnt the place down. He cops a serving every Thursday night.
It is a cool group, and I think I just said g'day to the right couple of people, and maybe bought a few beers just to try and get a foot in the door. They're a great bunch of blokes. Stories forever and a day, and you probably would have heard about their stories when the State League first kicked off, and they had that phone call fight with Glenorchy, back and forth, north, south of the state, and then the wages kept going, and it's sort of like, who's going to give in? And these boys didn't give in. So their passion, that's probably what it is, it's their passion for the football club. And, if you need to have fun and make a joke about Thursday night of anyone, there's always a barfly you can call on.
I used to manage a bar before Craig, and we used to open every night of the week. We'd come in, Sundays we'd have a working bee here, all turn up, mainly barflies, clean the club rooms, do all that.
The drink, we'd stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning. 2 o'clock in the morning, go all have all-nighters. Doesn't happen these days.
They've contributed to this club beyond belief. I mean, the people that built this club rooms and built the change rooms next door, which were originally the bar in 68 or 69 when they came down here. So that was all part of it.
But gradually the volunteers fell by the wayside, and I found I was working nearly every night because you couldn't get people to work. So eventually it just dwindled down to Thursday, Friday night game days, but now it's just Thursday night and match days.
We did a segment on a Thursday night. It was called Frank's Fun Thursdays, and I just got called Frank as a bit of an alter ego, I suppose, after a few premierships. I'm sure a few antics that we don't ever repeat were behind that name, but we called the segment after Frank's Fun Thursday because it's just all the stupid stuff that we'd do. And the barflies would always get a mention, and they just loved it. Little R and Choppy behind the bar. Choppy used to cop it. Choppy scene, so I'm sure you've had a conversation or two about him, if not with him, and if you don't know him well, do yourself a favour and get to know Choppy. He's a great bloke, but he's known for being well endeared, and we certainly took that to the length of everything else to run a joke all through to him, so he's good fun.
We made some budgie smugglers years ago, and I sort of sponsored them through my business, and these tiny things with a footy club emblem all over it, and an old Choppy Scene decided he'll get some. And then the Thursday night we got all these photos coming back from Choppy sunbaking on the other side of the world, and yeah, just things like that, little stories like that just shouldn't stay in the front of your mind, but seeing Choppy in a pair of budgie smugglers is, yeah.
How many brawls in the bar? How many brawls?
How many brawls? Well, actually, no, none. We ran 3 grand finals and no.
Yep.
3 grand finals on the trot and not a fight. We didn't even put on a bouncer. We had a ball and we put on 4 bouncers.
What happened there?
No, I don't know. They didn't need them, but yeah.
Mind you, the players, they would get into wrestling matches and that here, and they would get pretty fair income. But it was all,
all in good fun.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
And they knew, we knew when to stop them. Yeah. Just before they got hurt.
So, have you ever had to kick a bloke out?
Oh, we had a couple have had to go out. But I won't go there either.
Okay. Did you put that in a dirty glass?
I haven't got the keys to get in.